Hello everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar about sustainable interior design. Today's webinar is about sustainable interior design, rethinking furniture for a responsible future. Next webinar will be on the 19th of May at 4 p.m. Central Europe time, and it will be a Friend of the Sea webinar about sustainable nutraceuticals, health, innovation, and environmental responsibility. So our story dates back in the early 90s with my involvement in the Dolphin Safe Tuna project, of which I'm currently the international director. I soon realized that certifications could be a very important tool to achieve tangible conservation results. And so in 2008, we launched the Friend of the Sea program, initially focused on certification of seafood from sustainable fisheries and aquaculture. 10 years later, we launched Friend of the Earth, initially certifying products from sustainable agriculture and farming, and now into sustainable fashion, sports, furniture, and many others. In 2022, we created the World Sustainability Foundation, and in 2023, we opened our first Sustainable Friends concept store in Milan, right in the center of Milan. So currently over 5,000 products from more than 1,500 companies in 90 countries carry the Friend of the Sea and the Friend of the Earth certification logos. Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth represent also conservation projects managed by our World Sustainability Foundation in over 40 countries. These are Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth conservation programs on a global map. Some of the projects are developed and managed by WSO and the foundation, while others have been selected and certified based on their tangible conservation achievements. The Friend of the Earth program and logo has initially been developed to certify products on sustainable agriculture and farming. The scope of the Friend of the Earth certification has then been expanded to award with the Friend of the Earth logo other products and services which respect the environment. Among them, a standard for sustainable furniture has been developed. Plenty of information is available on our Friend of the Earth website on the dedicated page. However, towards the end of this webinar, I will also provide additional information. But let's now dive into this webinar on sustainable interior design and furniture. If we extrapolate the existing historical data for the US furniture production, we can estimate that the global furniture market has grown approximately 10 times, imagine, since 1960, while the global population is 2.5 times the size. This is due to the global increase in consumption and also to the fast furniture phenomenon. Fast furniture typically survives only 5 to 7 years at most. Quality furniture should at least last 10 to 20 years, making these short-lived pieces a growing burden on the waste system. This said, one has to be very careful at generalizing and be carried away by generic campaigns against fast furniture, as the issue is complex and not so black and white. For example, let's look at wood, the most used material in furniture. If we compare on the left the durability of wood with the sustainability ranking of wood on the right, we notice that those woods which are very durable, so the ones at the top on the left, are normally those which are at risk or are endangered. So you see the little line is leading from the most durable to the most at risk, such as balau wood, teak, and other iroko, idigbo. These are the most durable, the strongest, but also the most endangered. And vice versa, normally those woods which are not so durable, those at the bottom of the list in the table on the left, are normally among those environmentally good, well managed, abundant. So they are on the top side on the table on the right. Clearly, plastic is also a much stronger material for furniture, in particular for outside furniture, as you can see from these images. It also needs to use less chemicals for cleaning and maintenance. So it is important to understand that the furniture world is complex, and in order to understand sustainability, one needs to consider all potential impacts of products harvesting and minimize them while optimizing durability and facilitating reuse and recycling. The furniture industry continues to grow at an almost 4% growth rate per year, as you can see on these graphs. Among the major producers is Asia Pacific, holding over half of the global share, followed by Europe, approximately 25%, and then America and Middle East. Africa and Oceania play a very small role, as you can see. So when looking at the European production, representing, as we said, 25% of total global production, we see that the major players are Italy and Germany, followed by Poland, UK, France, and Spain. Germany is instead the main consumer, and also, as you can see on the graph on the right, the main generator of waste, almost double Italy, for example, followed by France, UK, and Italy among the main consumers and waste generators. The end use of furniture is equally shared between residential and commercial, so furniture for offices and so on. In terms of materials used, wood seems to play the major and increasing role, representing approximately 50% of the material used. Office furniture seems to use more plastic, much less glass, and others, likely for reasons related to safety, durability, and cost. If we look more closely at the global home textile trend, we notice a gradual growth in recent years with bed linen and carpets playing the major role. There is little data available about use of different textiles fibers in furniture. However, it is likely to be following the more generic trend in fibers production worldwide, as you can see. If we look at the trends since 1980s, the demand for polyester has grown tenfold from 7 million tons to an expected 70 million in 2030. Among the natural fibers, only cotton has continued to grow, doubling production from 15 million tons to 30 million, less than half of polyester production. In other words, man-made synthetic fibers now account for about 60% of the total fibers used. All this growth in production has, of course, an impact on the environment, which has to be reduced. From the only available data, and referring to the USA, it would seem that most of the furniture waste goes to landfills, and only since the 80s, a part of it, currently approximately 20%, is incinerated for energy recovery. Finally, only since 2010, a very small percentage, less than 0.5%, is recycled. It is likely that this data is similar to the EU and worse in other countries. And I found some additional data for the EU, where furniture waste represents approximately 4% of total municipal solid waste. A bit more is recycled or reused when compared to the USA, but still a small part compared to the 80% incinerated. Reuse is mostly carried out by second-hand shops or charities. EU is introducing new legislation to increase reuse and recycling, such as the Extended Producer Responsibility Scheme, which stimulate or make mandatory producers' initiatives to recover furniture at the end of life and thus manage recycling. These images are indeed very common, and one can easily conclude that waste management and lack of recycling is the major environmental impact of furniture, which has to be solved as fast as possible. The best way to reduce the impact of furniture is surely to build them durable and preserve them. There is furniture which lasted over 300 years, as you can see. So why are we not able anymore to build and use furniture for that long. There are several paths to making the furniture industry circular. User to user by reducing and reuse. User to business by repairing, refurbishing, remanufacturing. Finally, also by repurposing and recycling, a bit like upcycling in fashion. While estimation of the reduced environmental impacts are not always straightforward and cannot be generalized, it is clear that preventing the need to extract again the raw materials from the natural world limits use of land and normally reduces dramatically the use of energy, water, and the generation of waste which would have to be managed otherwise, occupying space in landfill and generating emissions when incinerated. Studies have concluded that approximately 1/3 of furniture sent to waste could be recovered and reused as it is. While an increasing number of companies are now undergoing this transition, a well-known example is IKEA's engagement to be completely circular by 2030. Many other companies are going in the same direction, such as those listed and described in the link that I am providing in this slide. Another environmental impact in furniture is derived by the use of chemicals, which, as you can see from this list, could have an impact on the environment and on the health of consumers and users. It would seem that the current global market for eco-friendly furniture has a value of $50 billion US dollars, so approximately 12% of the global furniture market. But its growth is expected to be faster on the global trend, approximately twice as fast. It is expected to grow in the US and in Europe, both in the residential as well as the commercial sector. Apparently, one of the most relevant product type in this market will be floor covering, e.g. parquet, marble, or other materials, followed by furniture and home textile. So that's normally where people start when restructuring a house, the floor covering, and it's an important part of the cost, and they look for sustainable material and products. Similar trends are expected in all the worldwide markets, with an expected even faster growth in Asia in particular and Latin America. Consumers, and in particular the younger generations, are also very supportive of sustainable products, in particular in fashion and presumably furniture, and they are willing to pay more than 50 and up to 81% of consumers would appreciate also having a sustainability score or labeling scheme and say it would encourage them to buy sustainably. So while a Sustainable Furniture Council has been instituted and promotes good practices in the sector, several certifications are applicable to furniture and/or textiles. The only internationally applicable and multi-material is Cradle to Cradle, which however awards different levels, of which bronze suffice only a generic engagement, and platinum does not necessarily require a product to be recycled or sourced from certified origin. So let's say it's a certification that has to be interpreted and is not so categoric in its requirements. All in all, only less than 2,000 products, according to my estimates worldwide, have been certified by the 3 generic labels, as you can see here on the table, applicable to the entire furniture products: Cradle to Cradle, Eco-Label, and Blue Angle. Some certifications focus only on one material, such as wood or textiles, only the processing phase, as Ecotex somehow, or only recycle activity. Our World Sustainability Organization has thus developed a new standard for sustainable furniture as part of the Friend of the Earth certification program, a certification standard which aims at being international and multi-material, assessing all production phases, including initial harvesting or extraction, recycling, regeneration, and social accountability. In case the materials already have obtained other fully or partially equivalent certifications, the company will not incur in double auditing. and its engagement in social and environmental sustainability will be recognized and rewarded. The standard scope is the certification of single furniture products. Consequently, the organization, the company, can have either some of its products certified or the whole product range. Audit is carried out by a qualified third-party auditor of an accredited certification body. The requirements of the Friend of the Earth certification for sustainable furniture include the implementation of an environmental management system, the use of renewable sources of energy to run its operation, social accountability, natural or low VOC paints, and no use of toxic materials. As far as the raw materials requirements, the requirement aim at promoting use of recycled raw materials. Otherwise, FSC or PEFC, even better, as it's accredited by the national accreditation bodies, recycled paper or wood, and responsibly produced glass and metals. As far as textiles and leather, they must be either 100% recycled or reused or Friend of the Earth, organic, Ecotex, or equivalent certified. Finally, the products must be distributed and shipped sustainably, packaged in a sustainable way, and they must be recyclable. The certified products, the Friend of the Earth certified products, can leverage upon several benefits and services, including a certificate of support to our foundation's conservation programs, meeting with potential buyers, interviews, and press releases. Products and brands can also be showcased and sold in our Sustainable Friends flagship store in the center of Milan. Special showcase events have been organized during the past weeks of the Salone del Mobile, the main international furniture trade show held in Milan every spring. In case you were interested to have one or more of your furniture products certified, here you can find the link to the preliminary information form, the price list on the right up, and the steps to certification. So, of course, you can contact us for more information on for application. And for now, I thank you for your attention, and I will propose some polls before checking if we have some questions to answer. Let me share with you the first poll. The question: is a furniture made of more durable wood automatically more sustainable than a furniture made of less durable wood? So the answer can be, and you have to choose, yes, it is definitely automatically more sustainable, more durable wood compared to less durable wood. Or no, it depends on the impact of the wood harvesting, how it's harvested, if it's from an endangered forest or an endangered species in a forest is more impacting. And an alternative answer is no, it depends. It's not automatic that more durable wood is more sustainable. It depends also on the impact of wood harvesting and other processing factors and impacts. Okay, so feel free to answer, and then I'll move to the second poll. And this is a poll where you're supposed to be able to write your answer if you have an answer, or otherwise write I don't know if you don't have. So the question is, are you aware of furniture sustainability certifications which are widely used? So in other words, when you went to buy your sofa, a chair, a table, did you notice some certifications out there saying that that table, that chair is produced in a sustainable way? Are you aware of any such certification, as you might be aware in other fields like, I don't know, organic in food or Friend of the Sea or MSc in seafood, etc., etc.? Are you aware of such a certification in furniture production? And the third poll is, would you find it more useful to have a certification for each material composing a furniture piece, or would you rather find more useful to have a certification to assess the total impact and sustainability of the furniture piece? So let's say you go and buy a chair which is made of metal, textiles, and wood. Would you rather want to know if the wood is certified sustainable, if the textile is certified GOTS or anything else, if the metal comes from sustainable mining? Separately, maybe some of these will not have, maybe only the wood is certified. Or would you prefer a more generic and widely known certification which tells you straight away if that product has all its parts produced in a sustainable way? I'm sorry, some of these polls are a bit complicated, but the last one is very easy. So please rate this webinar from 1, which would be bad or very bad, to 5, which would be very good. Feel free also to write to us with feedback if you have any suggestions for improvement, or if you want us to tackle other subjects for the next webinars. And this said, I will check while you can vote for the polls. I will check about the questions that we received. So one question is, what is the advantage of the Friend of the Earth certification compared to the other certifications on the market? So somehow I explained that during my presentation, but let's put it this way. There seems to be a need for a more comprehensive furniture product certification, which would analyze, assess furniture piece by furniture piece to conclude whether it's produced in terms of the material origin, in terms of the processing, the social accountability in a sustainable way or not. There isn't yet such a widespread certification. The one that gets a bit closer and that is, let's say, international, open to any producer, is Cradle to Cradle. However, we saw that it has a specific approach which would allow also certification of some products which don't comply with requirements, but we just engage at improving. And so it could be a bit misleading for consumers. And that's why we are proposing our certification, for the sake of consumers, but also for the sake of processors, which often have certified materials, but have a hard time at highlighting all their engagements to reduce their impact and be socially accountable. So that's the main reason why we think that there is a need for a certification like Friend of the Earth. How long will the audit take, and what would be the cost? Well, the cost and the time of the audit depends on whether all the materials which compose the final furniture piece have been already certified or qualified, produced according to certain protocols. And if that was the case, then the audit can be faster and the audit cost could be lower. However, if you look at the price list, you will see that we are talking in terms of royalties of 1,000 euros to an average 2,000 euros per product, and you should not expect the cost of the audit to be much higher. And in terms of the time, unless there's a need to assess at the origin the supplier or the harvester of the raw material, then the time could be something around, let's say, a total of 1 month from the time of signature to the time of obtaining the certification, if there are no non-conformities, with the actual audit time on site of approximately 1 or 2 days. And then here I'm obviously generalizing. So we got some information on the chat. Somebody that would like to learn more about how to produce construction materials through recycling in the US, and materials that are resistant also to hurricanes and fires. Well, definitely that's something we can talk about. and let's stay in touch, and we can further discuss. It's, let's say, a more complex issue, so it's better we discuss it outside this specific event. So going back, I thank you very much. There's no more questions apparently. Going back to the webinars, to the polls. The first was voted by not many people, but basically some claim that durability is very important, and so they concluded that it's more sustainable. And in fact, it is very important, but there could be some, let's say, impacts still, even though the wood is durable. And some others have voted for the third option, which basically implies that one has also to look at the way that the wood is harvested, whether it's endangered or not, and how it's processed, because as we saw, processing can imply use of some chemicals. The second question, well, somebody claimed that they've seen some certifications around. Probably they've seen some material certifications like FSC, etc., which could work if the product is made only of one material, and others didn't see any evidence of this type of certification. And generally, all those who voted in favor of a more comprehensive certification, and that's what we're trying to achieve with Friend of the Earth, and not simply a material-specific one. So that's all. I'm glad that in general the rating for the webinar was good, and I really appreciate. And again, this webinar will be made available, video recorded on the website for other viewers who might be interested. And always feel free to interact with us, contact us if you have any additional question. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I look forward to see you to the next one, which, as I said initially, is going to be on the 19th of May, 19th of May. So basically in 6 days from now at 4 p.m. And it's a Friend of the Sea webinar about sustainable nutraceuticals, health innovation, and environmental responsibility. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Help our planet with this first step. Follow Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth across our social media. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your follow and subscription helps us spread the sustainability message to everyone. Let's build a better world together as sustainable friends.